Welcome to our presentation on CodePanorama, a language-agnostic tool for visual code inspection. When trying to assess the quality of a software project, we typically turn to two established methods: code reviews and software metrics. Code reviews typically require a lot of time and investment by a developer, and this investment is rewarded with a very close understanding of the code. Meanwhile, software metrics require a relatively low effort to understand, but are quite distant from the actual code. We were on the search for methods that require less effort than code reviews but without introducing a too large abstraction. This is where CodePanorama comes in. CodePanorama produces images of zoomed out representations of the code, which looks like this. This visualization, also known as the code map metaphor, allows us to visually inspect the structural patterns of a code base. This screenshot here shows around 17,000 lines of code arranged in columns, where every line of code is shrunken down to a single line of pixels. Additionally, the currently selected color overlay shows a heat map of which files were changed most often. So what exactly is CodePanorama? CodePanorama is a web-based tool that can be used for free from within your browser. Alternatively, we provide Docker images should you choose to host an instance yourself, for example if you have privacy concerns. CodePanorama is language agnostic as it simply visualizes text files without parsing the code itself. As we have seen before, CodePanorama also has a number of built-in color overlays to add useful metrics to the structural patterns. Lastly, by clicking anywhere within the panorama image, you can easily view the code of the corresponding source file. Let's take a quick walkthrough on how to use CodePanorama. First, we select which repository we want to analyze, usually by Git URL. The public instance hosted by us is limited to analyzing public repositories, but private repositories can be analyzed if you host CodePanorama yourself. Next, we are presented with a filter page, where we can specify which files of our repository should be included in the visualization. Once we are happy, we can generate the images. We can now inspect the generated panorama and switch between different color overlays, for example the change frequency overlay selected here again. We can also switch, for example, to the blame overlay, showing which authors have changed which lines last. CodePanorama also supports custom overlays. Such overlays are provided in a specific JSON format in the repository itself, and CodePanorama simply overlays the data on top of the image. Using such a custom overlay, even programming language specific metrics can be displayed, such as a Checkoko code coverage report here of a Java project. Lastly, we can drill down into the code to take a look at the particular source file that might have caught our attention. This allows us to switch between the zoomed out visualization and the code itself without having to change to a text editor or IDE. We have conducted a preliminary study, and the results of this study show some promising findings. First, it is very easy to spot structural patterns in the code and also exceptions of those patterns, which we call anomalies. This might, for example, be sections of code with very deep levels of indentation, which might point to deeply nested logic with high complexity. Additionally, we found that using the combination of structural patterns and color overlay metrics, we were able to estimate the technical debt reported by SonarQube surprisingly well. Finally, we found that by analyzing structural patterns such as indentation and length of files, we could at least estimate a lower bound for both the cognitive and cyclomatic complexity, again as reported by SonarQube. Thank you for your attention, and we are looking forward to any questions or feedback about CodePanorama.